A quick notice on this video. This is a very heavily edited video again, due to a copyright claim that this original video was not published, so I do apologize if it's in poor quality. But I do think that my motion should be pushed forward, and I am researching the deal why it originally got copyright claim when other said YouTubers and such do the same matter as me, and yet they have not been infringed or have not infringed anything or such. So enjoy what this is. We start off our tale of this movie review with a young man watching a remake no one asked for. The 2002 Pinocchio remake. Who said that? It is me, the narrator, the one giving this review. Okay, and can I not enjoy this movie in peace? Well, perhaps you can, but it's much more fun when we, do this. Well, no matter, this is not a horror movie. This is Pinocchio 2002 live-action remake. Not to be mistaken with the numerous other remakes, or live-action, or even cartoon versions. 2022 remake, of all things. Oops, sorry. Did not mean to have my headset on this time, but I'm just... yeah, this is only available on Disney Plus, and we start off our tale with the narrator acting just how I narrated, breaking the fourth wall. He starts with the, Disney opening, flying down from the castle, well, not flying down from the castle, but flying down from the sky, singing the tune, "When you wish upon a star." And yeah, he just starts off narrating. He talks to himself, which is pretty modern. They break the fourth wall. It's quite amusing. Cricket continues narrating as the first Cricket, I guess? The original... the past Cricket. Ends up going to Geppetto's shop. Except it's not a toy shop or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. Here's a picture of it. So Cricket, Jiminy Cricket, enters the shop, and Geppetto, and he's exploring the shop a little, kind of sees Geppetto working on a new toy. A toy, oh, and did I mention, Geppetto's played by Tom Hanks? He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but when he does, he really tries to sell it, being an old man, kind of sad because he's lost everything, his wife, his son. So, he's making his, dead son a birthday present, more for himself, though, I guess. The wooden toy Pinocchio, and he sings a cute but very depressing song about it. And Jiminy Cricket is just exploring and watching all over. And by the time Geppetto's done with the toy, he gives it the name Pinocchio because made out of pine and oak. So Pinocchio? Pine-Occhio? So it's made out of both pine and oak, I guess. And during that time, we get someone we never see again that had, I think, importance in the past or a different movie. Yeah, I don't think he's the same puppet master, because in the live-action Pinocchio where there was no CGI, there was a guy that was the puppet master that wanted Geppetto's toys because Geppetto was actually a toy maker in that version too. In this version, the live-action, Geppetto has a shop, but he doesn't really do anything with it from what it sounds like. Like, his wife has died, his son has died, and the cuckoo clocks that he all has, are not for sale. because he says his wife loves him too much. And even the Signor, I guess that's how you say it's Signor something, uh, said, "Why do you have a shop there?" And even Geppetto himself says, "Well, that's complicated." So we end up kicking him out because the shop is closed, of course. Why would you have customers if the shop is closed? So Geppetto starts getting ready to bed with the cat and flippity flip. I forget the name of them. Uh, yeah, but he gets ready to bed, and right before he heads fully ready for bed, all the clocks start chiming. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, and Disney really must have been wanting to reference a lot of different movies in this one, because all the clocks are of the Disney movies. Roger Rabbit, uh, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Maleficent, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, did I say Maleficent? Sleeping Beauties, not Sleeping Beauty, I mean Snow White, Here, there's just a couple pictures I've thrown up. You should all be able to catch what all the clocks were. So yes, he's almost ready to bed. All the clocks chimed, and then and he's laying in bed. He sees, oh, Figaro. That's the cat's name, Figaro, I think. Well, he also the cat has horrible CGI. Um, but he sees a wishing star, and he wishes upon it. And what he does is, of course, he wishes for a boy. When he goes to sleep, the blue fairy comes and turns Pinocchio into a real boy. Of course, it's very different from original, because the original, the blue fairy herself came down first, instead of just imbuing the puppet with the magic. Because in this version, she imbues the puppet with the magic first, and then she comes down because this blue fairy is a lot more stumbling and silly, which is not how a fairy should be. At least this fairy, the head of fairies, basically, even in the show Once Upon a Time, that is technically canon to a lot of Disney stuff, surprisingly, because I foretold that Anna and not Hans, Kristoff were gonna get married even before Frozen 2 came out. But yes, the Blue Fairy is now played by Cynthia Erivo. I don't know how to say her name. And she brings, and Jiminy Cricket also played by Joseph Gordon, which, if I remember correctly, who did he play before? Any movies I recognize? Apparently he played in Batman, Snowden, Treasure Planet. He probably played that dancing robot. He wasn't even in Angels in the Outfield? And The Wind Rises, Lincoln. Yeah, he was in a lot of movies. I just don't recognize him off the bat. But Jiminy Cricket acted with a very southern accent. He was the first one to see Pinocchio come to life, but due to the Blue Fairy being a knucklehead and not doing the full spell all at once, uh, Pinocchio was literally a puppet, just moving and talking on its own, but it was mimicking what the person was saying until she gave him his own mind, and now he could think and talk for himself. But he still had no common sense yet. In other words, he was still learning. The Blue Fairy appointed Jiminy Cricket as his conscience, giving him all new fancy duds and woohoo, flashing lights, yada yada yada. So then, one of the Blue Fairy sings a cute little song about wishing on a star, which honestly the original version was still better, not gonna lie. And Pinocchio is also played by this young actor named Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. Newer actor in the scene, but he's played in Son of a Critch, The Haunting of Bly Manor. I remember that one. Haunting on Hill House. Wasn't that TV show that apparently got a lot of praise? All Fun and Games. So yeah, he was only in a few movies recently. He's still a young squirt. But he doesn't do a bad job, but the CGI on Pinocchio, they should have made him look more realistic still, instead of trying to go back to the original cartoony design just in the real world. Like, like when they made the Chip and Dale movie. That's a whole the story for another day. That's another movie review. But yes, Geppetto all of a sudden wakes up after the blue fairy miraculously disappears and says, "Figaro, I heard something. Did you hear something?" Then Pinocchio gets asked the question as well, and he says, "Yes, Papa, I heard something." And he's like, and then Geppetto's like, "Good, even Pinocchio heard something, and I heard something." And then he turns around like surprised, "Ah, I'm alive!" And he's yes, I'm alive. You're my Papa. Yeah. They have a good little moment. So yeah, the quick montage of them being father and son. I guess like a week has already passed. What else has happened? And he's like, "It's time for you to go to school." So he sends Pinocchio off to school. Oh, and Jiminy Cricket oversleeps as his duty as conscience. And it's when he's actually finally out of the house, because he'd been in the house for a while. Pinocchio is still dumb because he's interested in shit. He like tripped and fell on his way to school, and that's when, and previous, but before that, the fox and the cat, though the cat doesn't speak, which makes him kind of a blatant, just a kind of pointless character. Why did they even have it? But the fox is played by Keegan Michael Key. He does definitely live up to the part of the fox, being very theatrical and eccentric. Sorry, the words got caught in my throat. He plays him pretty well, I have to say. Definitely one of my more favorite characters, but you can easily tell that the fox this time is a cheat and a con artist, because his cape isn't even a cape. It's a either shower curtain or the curtain for blinds. Which begs the question, where has he been if he's been in a shower curtain? Well, of course he didn't kill anyone, but yes, he tries to convince Pinocchio to join the theater once he got him separated from the school and he succeeded. But Jiminy Cricket managed to, and they added a new character, Sophia, which again got very little screen time, which makes it questionable. Why do they add new characters? I guess to give it plot or whatever, but do they have the character in the actor's name for Sophia? Laureen Bracco. I have no idea. Signorisi was the guy trying to buy the clocks. Yes, but let's see. Let's get back to point. Jiminy Cricket gets help from this new character, Sophia the Seagull, to find Pinocchio, and they succeed, and the Cricket managed to get the idiots to knock each other out by accident, and convince Pinocchio to go to school. And when Pinocchio went to school, he was kicked out because the headmaster said, "Only real boys, no puppets, you make the children laugh." So Jiminy Cricket was quickly subdued by the fox and the cat, and then Pinocchio was once again convinced to be in a show with what was that guy's name of it originally? Well, the actor that plays this guy, because it doesn't say the actor of the other guy. The character name. The show was Stufanta. Is it the name? But the actor that played the fat evil guy that kidnapped Pinocchio in the end is Giuseppe Battistone. Sorry if I butchered that name. And he played, and apparently the guy's name is Mangae Focho. Italian names hard to pronounce for even a European. No, actually, I am European. What am I talking about? It's just not a name I'm used to hearing. Let's put it that way. So yeah, he gets Pinocchio into the show. Pinocchio meets another new character by the name of Fabiana, played by Cayenne Carthy, which They talk, they get to know each other, uh, they have some fun, uh, and Pinocchio falls in love with a puppet that isn't even real, of course, and apparently, Fabiana knows how to ventriloquist. So she also uses Fabiana to help talk, uses the doll to talk to Pinocchio when he's distrusting of other people and yada yada yada. Because the show was quite amusing. That's the only time we hear Benjamin Evans sing a song. I got no strings, da da da. No, I got no strings on me. Something like that. I'll play a quick clip of the song. Okay. Back on track. Pinocchio gets a lot of praise and likes for the song in the show. But in the end, Pinocchio gets thrown into a cage, just like the original. No, he doesn't actually get thrown in a cage first. First, he's allowed to roam, so he goes into Fabiona's trailer, and he watches her dance and sing, and then she notices that, and then she puts on a quick little play with her doll. And I think Fabiana is more Spanish than Italian, which makes sense because both of them are very close, and there was a huge debacle between them all. Gotta love the Spanish Inquisition. Back to the point. But the puppet master saw this and was so angry and worried that he thought he lost his magic puppet. And so he stopped the show. He threw Pinocchio in the cage. Fabio and pretty much did his usual evil monologue. You are mine forever. You will make me lots of money. So he left the key on the wall, blah, blah, blah. Fabiana climbs on top of the train to try and talk to Pinocchio to say she's going to try to get him out, which she actually doesn't, which is kind of dumb because, like, well, you don't want my help, got it. So, yeah, she gave up quickly. So instead she helped him mentally with with the puppet and ventriloquism to try and get him ease up a little bit. But she couldn't help. Like, she didn't try to help after, because what's the name? The puppet master came back and closed the hatch on top of the ceiling where she was talking from, and locked it. So yeah, then the Jiminy Cricket managed to at least get out of the bottle that he was stuck in and help and get to Pinocchio and help get him out of the cage, because Pinocchio, the one time they actually stopped showing the nose going longer is kind of middle to end, where he then gets tells lies and then lies, so he lies about lying so he can grow his nose to get to the key. So Jiminy and Pinocchio get the key and escape, and they make it back into town. And the Geppetto, and they get stop at a crossroad, which apparently at the crossroad at a certain time they get is called the collecting, where people go to dun 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 Pleasure Island. And this time the stagecoach master has a little bit more to him. He is played by Luke Evans recently. Luke Evans recently has been playing a lot of bad guys. But yes, he plays the coachman. And he has a little song himself because Pinocchio is thinking, no, we can't go to Pleasure Island, blah 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 blah, because Cricket is also, because Jiminy is also not with him to try and give him conscience. He's trying to get to him, but being small in a big world. So yes, the stagecoach master convinces him via song to not be a party pooper, and that we're not your peers, we're not peer pressuring you, so if you're square, get off, if you're not, come on. No, not peer pressure at all. Disney has been really, in this version, really wanting to emphasize right and wrong choices, and that just because they're not your peers doesn't mean it's not peer pressure, that you really shouldn't do what everyone else does just because it's popular. Which is actually a very good message that they're trying to reinstate, at least in this movie, but how many people get that, I don't know. So yes, they make it to Pleasure Island, and there's another little fun song. And of course, the stagecoach master is there giving free root beer. It looks like a modern, like 1960 barman from the candy stores or whatever. Striped little coat, very silly, very fun. Uh, but yes, and everyone has fun, breaking clocks, trashing the place, drinking root beer. My favorite, but the problem is this root beer will turn you into a donkey, because when Gemini finally gets there, all the kids have disappeared except for some donkeys running around. And this is an element that I never didn't understand when I saw the movie. When I saw the remake, there were shadow monsters that were kidnapping the donkey kids, and turning them and throwing them in cages and stuff. That part I didn't understand, because even in the original, it's still people. So I don't understand the symbolism. Maybe one of you in the comments can understand what that is about. So yeah, the shadow monsters throw the donkey kids in the underground uh system where they're being caged and thrown on a boat. Jiminy finds this out after he finds Pinocchio, because he tries to say, "Hey, Pinocchio!" And boy that the original boy, the quote unquote closest thing to a friend Pinocchio's had, other than Fabiano, uh, Candor, played this time in this by Lennon Lloyd. He looks familiar. But yes, he he, the scene was still gruesome, even in the live action. Less gruesome because they toned down the donkey noise, but in the original cartoon, it was very gruesome because when you saw them turn into the donkeys. At least the boy Pinocchio, of course, didn't fully turn into a donkey because it was also based on bad behavior. Yes, the boy turned into a donkey and was like, help me, you gotta help me, mama." I think there's a clip on YouTube. If there is, I'm playing it right now. But yes, that scene is very gruesome, and the shadow monsters are like, the shadow master and the stagecoach get the last kid, aka donkey, or try to, but and he's like, "Get that wooden donkey!" Jiminy Cricket managed to come out of the floor with a firecracker, or firework, not firecracker, and managed to help Pinocchio escape. Pinocchio all of a sudden positive thinking, because they get to a cliff being chased by the shadow monsters and the stagecoach master, and he's like positive thinking and jumps off a cliff and of course survives because he's wooden into the sea. So then he trails back to home with his motorboat-like reflexes and makes it back to land to town. He gets back to Geppetto's house, and Geppetto's not there. Sophia the Seagull informs them that Geppetto's not home, that he sold everything, his clocks, his toys, to buy a boat to find Pinocchio. But he unfortunately, not unfortunately, sorry. Pinocchio is very touched by that, because his clocks meant more to anything, but Pinocchio means more than the clocks to Geppetto. So then they head to the docks to try and find Geppetto. Of course, he's not there. He's already out on sea, like west, they said, 2 hours ago. So he's fairly deep in, especially with the dinghy. So they use so Fabricio comes back with the because Pinocchio's still Pop Donkey. Fabricio comes back because the puppet master got arrested in the next town, and and the stagehands and Fabiano started their own family marionette family thing. And they want Pinocchio to join, but of course he declined because I have to find my father. And that's when he turns back into a regular puppet, regular living puppet, without the donkey ears, the donkey tail. And Fabiano is like, something tells me you made the right choice. And I think they're setting it up for a sequel, perhaps, because technically in the cartoon version there was a sequel, a very very unknown sequel where there was another puppet girl or something like that, where Pinocchio fell in love with an actual girl that got in love fell in love with a girl. There was another version of this where he fell in love, but it's a different. Like there are 5 different versions of Pinocchio. It's amazing. Uh, but yes, Pinocchio. Oh, then gets Sophia to help him get to the to Geppetto's boat, which they succeed getting close to. Except, dun 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 more Monstro, the whale. He is a whale, I guess, if you count tentacles. Lovecraftian horror, my friends! They made Monstro actually like a monster, instead of a giant whale. I think they were trying to do some Lovecraftian sort of thing, because back then there wouldn't be a giant whale. I really don't know what the hell they were thinking with the design. It looks scary. It definitely makes you more creeped out with the tentacles and stuff, and actually how Monstro looks. But yes. Jiminy Cricket, of course, didn't get swallowed. He's trying to get inside Monstro, but he can't. Geppetto and Pinocchio are reunited with the Figaro and the fish, and they think of a way to get out. Pinocchio's like, let's start a fire and smoke them way out. And they do. They make Monstro sneeze, and they get out. Cricket managed to get Jiminy managed to catch up with them, and Geppetto finally meets Cricket. And Cricket, your conscience? That's his reaction. So yeah, but they try to get away from Monstro because Monstro is once again trying to chase them because he doesn't let his prey escape. What happens next is Pinocchio again acts like a motorboat and tries to get out, and they succeed. But Pinocchio thought his father was dead. And actually, he was, surprisingly. Because if you watch the movie, he actually died. For a split second, he died. And Pinocchio was crying. He made the wish. When you wish upon a star. Pew! And his teardrop had magic in it. And that magic brought Geppetto back to life. Because it was his wish that his father doesn't die. So, of course, it's a happy ending. They all get back together. And they head back to town. And that's when the movie ends. It ends with Pinocchio turning into a real boy as they walk off into the light of the cavern to get back to town. And of course, Jiminy Cricket's like, that's the like some people would say he was a boy turned into a real boy or whatever, blah blah blah. It was silly. But yes, I do think that this let's get down to where I had problems. 1, the CGI. Come on. Figaro, a cat, was horrible. The fish was okay. The references to other movies was okay, but not necessary because even there was Roger Rabbit. They tried to, like, even the fox was more modernized. Like when he was trying to say, "You need a new name," and they were like, Chris Pine. Which I don't know. Who is Chris Pine? Is that actually a real person? Let's see. Chris. Oh, yep, that's a real person. Played. Yeah, I remember. Chris Pine, Wonder Woman, etc. I don't know why they did that. They made reference to him because of his name, so I guess they were making fun of it. But yes, they. That's the problem with the movie. They just had too many modern references, modern tropes that were dumb. It had a good message, the movie, knowing right from wrong and not to be pressured into things you don't want to do. It's not about stepping out of your comfort zone, it's knowing about what's right and wrong, and not to be pressured into your peers pressured by your peers or people that you work with. Just because they do it doesn't mean you should do it. All in all, I give this movie a 3.5 star. Let's put it that way. The animations were cheap and clunky, like always, because Figaro did not get picked up by Geppetto real well. The stagecoach master was jumping on the donkeys' backs when singing, and you could easily tell that there was no actual donkeys there, or like there would be, but they didn't try to make it as stable. It was cheaply animated, like green screens. I don't know what parts were real and what weren't. Like, even Alice in Wonderland, you knew what was green screens and not. And it was still better. The Steven Spielberg version of Alice in Wonderland was better than this movie. In taste of animation. If it had better animation, I would give this movie a 5-star. But it was just so cheaply done. Like, the parts that should have good CGI don't, and the parts that don't have to have good CGI have better. So it's like the small details, right? Small details. Disney, work on that. So if you want to see this movie for yourself, I wouldn't dissuade you from it. I just wouldn't go into it with high expectations. Thank you all for watching. Until the next one. Bye-bye! Hello, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you wish to see more, press the subscribe button and the notification bell. It is the only way to keep updated on my latest videos.